These days, if you look at the news or you go through your Instagram page or Facebook and also on YouTube, you would often find many reports on building collapse like the surfside condominium collapse in Florida, United States, which caused more than 98 people to lose their precious lives. Some of these collapses may be due to natural calamities, but even with these natural calamities, they would have been avoided if proper structural engineering was adopted. Mitigation of structural failures is very important, so we will now try to introduce a few important steps that can prevent building collapse in the future. Need of consultants on board. Many small and mid-scale projects are done without a qualified consultant, especially structural consultant on board. Many people think that an architect takes care of the entire point in a building, including structural design, but this is not correct. An architect's role is to ensure the functional well-being and aesthetics of a building project. He might appoint a structural engineer. However, there is a perception that if an architectural drawing is approved by the authorities, then it is safe. But this is also not the case. A structural engineer should be on board much before the architectural drawing are finalized. This will enable a structural consultant to propose a proper structural scheme that will perform and meet all stability and strength criteria. If the structural scheme is not proper, there can be many undesirable compromises and adjustments that can become fatal. So by proper scheme of the building, we mean the proper geometry of the building. And common people are not aware that irregular and fancy shape and form of building comes with high seismic demand. This means that the chance of a building collapse are more unless it is attended carefully by an experienced structural engineer. Proper column orientation, proper column location, orientation, shear wall positions and sizes. And common users are clueless about these requirements and they only care to see that the column do not clash with the functional requirements. Also, certain amount of structural risk analysis and accident controlling measures shall go into the design of a building. As professionals, it is our responsibility to generate awareness among common people on the importance of all these aspects. Many people still believe a smaller number of columns are more economical. Similar to this, all buildings should have a geotechnical engineer on board. In most cases, either the soil SBC is asked to be assumed, and structural engineers are asked to double up as geotechnical engineers and so on. Sometimes, the role of a soil consultant ends up with providing a soil report with SBC and the stability of the slopes are ignored. Many building collapses are due to weak soil and lack of soil investigation. In most cases, this will result in differential settlement and sometimes failure of retaining systems. All these failures can become a sudden brittle failure. It is also important to avoid corner footings, and in most cases, the need of an eccentric footing arises due to the compromises in setbacks. Structural scope. In most cases, the structural engineer scope is limited to issuing structural drawings and occasional stage inspections. This should change, and the scope of structural engineers and their fee should extend and cover a total supervision of the project. Alternatively, there shall be a construction engineer or agency on record who is made responsible to ensure the adherence to structural drawings. And it will always be better if the structural scope includes this by also increasing the structural fees. So we also have structural fees. Current structural fees in many cases are not adequate enough to cover the expenses of the consultant. If a consultant has to use the best leading software like ETABS, Start Pro and Revit, and also spend enough time to validate everything, then they need a compensatory fee structure. So it is high time that the professionals are paid well enough in order to ensure safety. Structural proof checking. Peer review of structural designs and methods shall be made mandatory. This will ensure capturing of design mistakes at an early age. Either the approving of authorities should have a good technical knowledge and in-house capability in order to check and approve the structural drawings, or peer review shall be made mandatory. This is a good way to ensure adherence to code provisions and also best consulting practices. Enforcement of all building rules. The carefully drafted building rules shall be enforced strictly without any compromises. There shall be no scope in getting a plan approved and build another one. A stringent verification of this by various agencies at different stages shall be made mandatory. So it is very important that appointment of an experienced engineer and peer reviewer shall be verified at the start of the project itself. Therefore, the structural engineers, the peer reviewer and the construction engineers shall sign off the drawings. Then structural alterations. There has been a lot of collapses in the past when people do structural alterations in the building, all in the name of interior changes and functional changes. Look, it is very important to ensure that no ROCC element in a building is punctured, no ROCC element in a building is drilled or removed, or in the name of changes. All these alterations need careful analysis and cross-check. And in most cases, such drastic changes like removing a beam will not be possible. This need to be verified by qualified structural engineers. Approvals and check shall be made mandatory for any structural alterations. Then finally, maintenance and structural audits for old buildings. All buildings should have regular maintenance and this need to be certified at a point of time. Maintenance record of all buildings need to be maintained, inspected and approved. So there shall be a structural audit of all buildings periodically, and the old buildings need more careful monitoring and audits. In recent past, there has been a lot of old buildings collapsing, and it can be a serious disaster if the collapse is disproportionate. So, in general, most buildings collapses are avoidable. It is not so easy for a properly engineered building to collapse, as there will be alternate load parts in the building. So following a robust design and checking process which come with enforcement of existing building rules and adding a few new rules to ensure maintenance and audit of existing building, we almost ensure that our buildings will never collapse. This is easy to achieve if there is a will to do it. And this comes from a collective effort between the client, the consultants, the authorities and also the general public. We have realized the problem by seeing the collapses. So, it is time to arise and awake. What are your thoughts about this? Let us know in the comment section below. Before you leave, please, I would appreciate if you can hit the like button and subscribe to this channel, tutorial, for more construction videos like this. With that being said, you all have a wonderful and a blessed day. God bless you all. Bye bye.